Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 projects using Dollar Tree supplies and an ombre effect using chalk. Now, I originally planned on showing you 3 different projects using black, white, and gray. And the more I looked at this little sign, I like it, but it just needed something more. And so I just decided to redo the whole thing. So I painted the entire project with white Waverly chalk paint, giving me a nice clean canvas to start from. I'll be using the pink from this tray and 3 of the red colors from the second tray. I go along the edge with the darkest red color, and I'm just kind of outlining the letters. Now, I was actually going to paint this, but because that love sign is actually attached because I had finished the project, I knew it would be really difficult to paint this with all of the different colors that I wanted without making a mess and having to repaint the background. Chalk is a really good medium to work with, especially for highlighting and shading. If you're new to painting or uncomfortable with highlighting and shading, chalk is a super alternative. It allows you to build color so you can have a really soft, light effect as well as very deep colors. So I'm just going in really small circular motions and also wiping right along the edge of the letters. I use a variety of tools to apply the chalk, including Q-tips, some cotton pads, paintbrushes, and my fingers. Now I'm just pulling that darker color out a little bit more because I'm going to blend it with my next color, using a medium pink color as my second color. So I'm again going in circles and I'm pulling some of that darker color from the edge into the color that I'm using now and just seamlessly blending them together. All 3 of my projects are very similar, but there are some differences. So using that mid shade, again, I'm just going and applying it, but also pulling some of that darker shade into it. And the key is to just keep blending until you reach the desired effect. You may want more of a defined line between the colors. I just want it completely blended so that you can't tell from one color to the next where they actually join. To blend the color, I suggest using a clean Q-tip or a cotton pad in between, and that just lightens it up and combines the 2 colors for a nice effect. I also use this shade that's a little more purple in it, and I'm using that along the edge as well. These projects did take some time just because of all of the blending. You're only seeing a small portion of what I actually did for blending these colors together. I didn't want this video to be 3 hours long. For my third color, I'm using a flesh or light peach color, and that's going to be the lightest color of my transition here to the white. You can also soften up some of the lines and the shading using white chalk. I don't get great coverage with the white or that light peach color. You have to really go over it several times to be able to see it. And the camera isn't really picking it up very well, but you can definitely see the difference in colors in person. I had planned on just doing an outline of the heart, so I'm going real gentle and keeping it a very thin line, but I do end up changing my mind and filling in the entire heart. I'm using a darker red color to apply to those little sticker dots so they stick out just a bit more. I work a dark red color along the very edge of this plaque, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do here. I originally thought I would just do a very thin line around the perimeter, but I ended up changing my mind about that and pulling that color in a little farther. I do have a habit of changing my mind mid-project, so I have an idea in my head, and once I start doing it, sometimes I'll either make a mistake and I think, hey, that looks pretty nice, and I change it from there and it turns out to be a good mistake. Sometimes I just change my mind completely after I've done most of the project and decide I need to start all over. I'm just going in and deepening that line right along the edge. I'm using a fluffy makeup brush just to soften the edges a bit. So I'm just going in very lightly doing circular motions to pull some of that color into the white. It's kind of like putting on eyeshadow when you want the colors to blend. Same concept here. You just do small circular motions with a fluffy brush to soften the edge up a bit. I'm using a stiff bristle brush to really get into the cracks between those little buttons. And then I just finish it by deepening those buttons in a really dark red. As you can see, I have used chalk along the entire edges of the frame. I went in with a lighter pink, and now I'm just going in with a Q-tip and doing some streak motions with a red color. I may just end up painting this entire thing white and starting over with a different idea, but for now, I'm happy enough with it. Here's a closer look at the finished project. For project number 2, I'm using this tabletop sign from the Dollar Tree. I gave it 2 coats of Waverly white chalk paint, but I do end up changing it to the color plaster. It's a nice shade between ivory and white. And I'm just taking a dark red color and again starting on the edge, just doing very lightly small circle motions and dragging it along the edge. And I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to make each letter a different shade of red and pink and have my gradient go from left to right, darker to lighter, or if I wanted to do that individually in each letter. So each letter would have dark red, medium, and then light. But right now I'm just kind of experimenting and seeing how I want it to look. I do end up changing the L, which you'll see in a bit. And I decided to have a separate gradient effect on each letter. So I'm just pulling some of that dark red out a little bit more so I can blend it with the next color. And I think a really simple outline like I did with the L here, that's some really nice look too. So it doesn't have to be as detailed as what I end up doing. You can have a really nice piece using very simple chalk techniques. I'm just going in with a cotton pad and I'm lightening up that color and just blending that color, pulling it further into the white area so it blends in with my next color. This project is really just all about layering the colors and doing a lot of blending. If you're enjoying this video, I would appreciate it so much if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I go in with that medium pink shade and I start on the next letter. I do the same thing to all the letters, starting with the very darkest and just blending it out and leaving a little bit of that white background as my lightest shade. I actually rubbed the chalk onto the sign because there wasn't that much pigmentation with this color, and this just allows me to get into those grooves of the wood a little bit more, and then I use my finger to blend it out. I painted the sides and the back a darker color to make the letters stand out, and I'll show you the two paints that I used a little later in the video. I repainted the L, and I'm starting over using the same technique that I did with the other letters. Here you can see there's a big difference in the color saturation, and I had this idea of, I wonder if I can make this chalk look a little bit like watercolor paint. So I just wanted to kind of blur the colors a little bit. I thought, well, how can I do that? So I just decided to try a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I also tried nail polish remover, and either one of those does the trick. And so this is just giving tiny little swirls to the colors in my chalk. And it's a very subtle effect, but it looks really nice in person. I decided I wanted to also have kind of a chalky finish to it. So I'm just going in with some white and just very lightly going over the entire letter. And as you'll see at the end, it does give a nice kind of hazy look to it. And all of this I just kind of came up with at the last minute, like literally the last minute. I had this idea over the weekend and I just decided to do these 3 projects on a whim, but I am very happy with how this turned out. I'm using a heart from Dollar Tree and I just painted that with the darker color to match the back. I think these projects would work any time of the year. They don't have to be for Valentine's Day. Giving you a closer look at the final project, you can see some of that blur effect that the alcohol gave me. You can also see that white kind of haze from the white chalk. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I love the colors. For project number 3, I'm using 4 wooden hearts from the Dollar Tree. I gave each of them a couple of coats of white Waverly chalk paint as well as plaster. I used the same technique as before, starting with the darkest color, leaving a little bit of white on the far right side. I do end up using different colors for my darkest color just so that each heart looked a little different. Here's the second heart, and again, I'm just starting with a different red color. I do also end up pulling some of that chalk along the outer edge. I was just going to keep that white, but I decided that it would look better if I blended that color out onto the edges. I'm rubbing that dark red chalk right along the edge just to deepen it up even more. Here are the two colors that I mixed together to paint the letters as well as the back of the heart. And I lightly sanded the edges of the letters. These letters are from Walmart. I'm just attaching some jute as a hanger. I'm using some craft stick scraps that I have to attach the letters in the back so that it's all one piece. You can see that this is one of the hearts that I used for my planned black and white project. I do end up painting the back of all the hearts to match that darker color. Make sure you have your letters in order. You don't want to glue them out of order. So I was just double checking there to make sure I had the right letters. And then I'm just going to take this craft stick, and that is what is going to hold my two hearts together. So I did that between all of the hearts. Take a look at the final project. I did add some wooden beads with the tassel to the bottom. And you can really see how nice and deep those colors are and how nicely they blend together. I have a bonus Valentine DIY video coming out tomorrow, and I will be showing some of my Easter projects starting this week. I have a bunch of cute Easter projects, including rustic farmhouse as well as traditional style. So please make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss my upcoming videos. I hope you enjoy these projects. Please let me know in the comments which one was your favorite.